Speaker recognizes Minority Leader Greimel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There was a time in our nation's history when most Republicans stood for limited government, when most Republicans sought to make it easier to hold the government accountable instead of harder to hold the government accountable. Senator Barry Goldwater warned against structuring government and government power in such a way that it would insulate government from the popular will and from individuals holding government accountable. A generation before him, congressional Republicans fought against President Franklin Roosevelt's court-packing plan for the U.S. Supreme Court. Today, that history is little more than an increasingly fading memory. Today, Michigan Republicans are seeking to enact a court-packing plan of their own, a scheme that would cost taxpayers in our state millions of dollars, that would make it harder for individual citizens to ensure that the state complies with the Open Meetings Act and the Freedom of Information Act, that would make it harder for citizens in our state to receive just compensation when the government seeks to seize their private property through condemnation proceedings, that will make it harder for citizens in our state to receive jury trials, that will make it harder for citizens in our state to challenge in court the implementation of Medicaid expansion, that will make it harder for citizens of our state to challenge the implementation of the Common Core curriculum, and that will make it harder in countless additional ways to hold state government accountable. That's why literally every single association of attorneys and judges in this state that has taken a position on this bill is against this bill. We only heard from 2 individuals in committee yesterday who were in favor of this bill. Individuals with well-documented connections to the Snyder administration and the Republican Party establishment. Dick McClellan, who does extensive work for the Snyder administration, and an individual from the Sterling Group that has extensive contracts with the Republican Party and its affiliated entities. The only argument we have heard, either in committee yesterday or on the floor today in favor of this legislation, is that it supposedly will increase the number of people in this state who select the Court of Claims judges. Now, being in politics, one grows accustomed to disingenuous arguments, but this is so far beyond the pale of what we typically are forced to tolerate that it is mind-boggling. Contrary to that argument, this bill would reduce the number of people who select the Court of Claims judges from 3% of the state's population to just 7 individuals, the Supreme Court justices, who collectively comprise 0.00007 of 1% of our state's population. That is 7 ten-thousandths of 1% of our state's population will, under this bill, be selecting Court of Claims judges. In contrast, Democratic House members offered an amendment that would allow all of the voters of our great state to vote for the Court of Claims judges, and this august body refused to even allow a vote on the amendment. It's very transparent what's going on here. It's unfortunate, and it is embarrassing to all of us who serve in this body. Finally, as one of my colleagues pointed out, Article 6, Section 1 of the Michigan Constitution suggests that this bill can only become law upon a 2/3 vote of the members of both the State House and the State Senate. And I request, Mr. Speaker, as a point of order, that we receive a ruling on that question before we take a vote. Thank you.
Minority Leader Greimel, you had requested a point of order. Although the request was improper in its format, I understand the gist, and I am willing to grant an order as you intended. A two-thirds vote is not required. Senate Bill 652 does not establish a new court. Under Article 6, Section 26, the legislature has the authority to amend the powers and jurisdiction of the Court of Claims by a majority vote, and that is what Section 652 does.